All right, this is the first of a massive series that we're having here called Bold Predictions for 2025, and nobody better to kick it off than none other than L.A. Marzulli. We're going to ask him about aliens. We're going to ask him about UFOs, the Trump agenda. Are we on the verge of a nuclear war? What are the drones? What about the Pope opening portals? Mount Herman? Whatever comes to our mind tonight, bold predictions for the year 2025 with L.A. Marzulli. All right, so welcome into the big picture. If you have not done it already, smash that like button, smash it, smash it, smash it. Share this broadcast wherever you're watching it. Follow, give us love, share, and invite others to join us because tonight's going to be a huge show. Bold predictions for 2025 with none other than L.A. Marzulli, and it's time to bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome the man, the myth, the legend, L.A. Marzulli. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Larry. That's great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, what a blessing it is. It's always a blessing to have you. You have become quickly already a favorite. People's always asking about, when are we going to have L.A. back? When are we going to have L.A. back? And, right off the bat, we want to tell people that they can get your book right now by going to your website, and it's linked down below, Rungs of Disclosure. But thank you so much, sir, for being on the show tonight.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Well, as you know, I talked to you before we came on the program about, I wanted you to kick off our series of what's happening, what can we expect in 2025? And I don't know how you feel, but I believe it's going to be one of the craziest years of our lives.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, please feel free. Go ahead.
I think 2025 is going to be an outstanding year. I'm not a prophet. I don't really have a word from the Lord other than he reiterated something to me. UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. Then he added another phrase, which I've said, this is the coming great deception, because I believe it is the coming great deception. There's something very interesting that happened, what was it, a week or two ago? The Israelis, for the first time in, 2,000 years, just regained control of Mount Hermon.
Wow.
Mount Hermon is where the 200 Watcher angels came down in the days of Jared and started all the mischief, as Chuck Missler liked to call it. Started mixing the seed and creating the offspring of a Nephilim. Jesus says it'll be like the days of Noah. So am I saying that a mile-wide craft was going to hover over Mount Hermon? I have no idea. But I find it very, very interesting that for the first time in about 2,000 years, maybe longer, the Israelis now have control over Mount Hermon. The Middle East is not done by a long shot. It's a reprieve. Anything is possible at this moment in time. Anything is possible. So, then you get the drones, which I believe our military knows exactly who they are and what they are and why they're flying them. Otherwise, these things would be shot out of the sky in 5 minutes. Who are we kidding? So
right.
They know exactly what's going on.
Well, I want to I want to go a little bit deeper in there on Mount Hermon because that is such a fascinating topic. I talk a lot about that as well. And of course, we know that is where it's believed that the 200, came down and of course started this whole, as you said, all the chaos that we know as Nephilim and demons and so forth. But yeah, the interesting timing of that. And then all of a sudden you see the drones appearing everywhere. You see the Senate having hearings where they're openly saying things that they used to mock us about. Something right. is getting ready to be open. And then when Netanyahu, that video where he's standing on top of that, on top of Mount Hermon and reclaiming it, it just sent chills down my spine because that's the Mount of Transfiguration and so much more. I believe it is a huge sign that is being underplayed in the church. So yeah, so let's go there. And you talked about the drones. Everybody's talking about the drones. This is tonight. It's still on people's minds. Who knows how long that's going to be? You touched on it quickly, but tell us, what do you think the drones are? And do you think it's not just what they are, but is it getting ready for something bigger after the drones?
All this is speculation because I don't have a crystal ball and I don't want a crystal ball. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But, I think this is a coordinated operation by segments of our military. Look, this is all airspace. You don't start flying this stuff around. If it was a hostile, they'd blast this thing out of the sky. So everyone's being told to stand down. The question is, who is telling the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard to essentially stand down? Somebody's pulling the string somewhere. There's a chapter in one of my books called Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural. It's out of print. We're actually going to do a second edition of this sooner than later and get it back out. But I actually did a show on it today, and I was reading from it. And here's the thumbnail sketch of it for your people.
Okay.
When the former Soviet Union collapsed, and I'm not making this stuff up, this is a matter of the historic record. When the former Soviet Union collapsed, there was what they call suitcase nukes, which were being sold and traded on the black market. So why a suitcase nuke is it's like a mini Hiroshima, mini Nagasaki. That's what it is. And it's about the size of a footlocker, which is why they call them suitcase nukes. They last about 6 or 7 years, and then without the detonation codes, and it's not going to blow up like a mushroom cloud.
Right.
But the radioactive material is still there. And so what the powers that be over here, and there's all these different authors who have written books on this and done a deep dive on it, and I'm quoting from them. So these suitcase nukes go missing at the end of the former Soviet Union collapsing. And they're sold on the black market to the highest bidder, to terrorists, to terror-related countries, whatever. Our southern border is porous, was porous back then. Yeah. How many of these things could have come up through the southern border and then embedded in American cities? So what if, and it's a huge what if, but we know that our government has already done this. They have flown aircraft over certain cities where they are looking for spikes in the radiation. They've already done this. We know that that's an absolute fact. I'm not making this stuff up. The bottom line is, are these drones what they would call sniffers? Are they looking for something? Are they looking for spikes and radiation? Have we been tipped off that somebody somewhere has a dirty bomb in one of these cities on the East Coast? And this is why they're on the West Coast, because maybe those dirty bombs are on the West Coast too, dirty nukes or whatever you want to call them. Because when you explode them with C4 or whatever, that radiation goes out. You've got a mini Chernobyl. God forbid, let's say they blow one up in Newark, New Jersey, or wherever. Well, that entire city, right, is going to become radioactive. You can't live there anymore. So the question is, if they say something now to the American people, what we're going to see is absolute mass panic. We're going to see nothing but mass panic, and they can't do that.
Wow. Well, and I've heard you talk about extensively and read in your books and watched in your videos, when it comes to aliens, UFOs and everything, they seem to gravitate to nuclear activity and nuclear stockpiles and so forth. So do you, in your opinion, does that explain, in addition to these drones, that, as you said, I believe the same way you believe, that if the government wanted to shoot them down, if they didn't know what it was, they would shoot them down. But then there seems to be a strange, and a lot of people are seeing these orbs showing up around these drones as well. So if the drones, your theory is, if the drones are sniffing for something, is that attracting these other UFOs and everything, thinking that they're getting ready for that, what you've talked about, here comes the galactic buddies and all this to save the world? I mean, what is your opinion on the orbs that people are seeing?
I don't think the orbs have anything to do with our government. I don't think we're producing the orbs. I don't think that's happening. That's from them. That's from the so-called space brothers. They are not our.
No.
So it's a very complex mixed bag here. Is this the tip of the iceberg? Are we going to see what I would call full disclosure? Is that what we're going to see? Mile-wide craft over the cities of the world. Remember, I've shown this before, and I think I showed you the last time I was here, the 2024 Super Bowl ad.
Yes.
Which, hello down there, that's what it's called. You can go on YouTube and see it, or Larry can play it again. And 2024 Super Bowl ad. And it's 4 different places on the planet: a diner in Texas or New Mexico, New York City, right? New York City, Paris, France, and a city someplace in Japan. So what they're signaling, they've only got a minute and a half to show it. This is a global event.
Right.
And everyone's looking on their stupid cell phones like this. Everybody's got their cell phone, they're looking down. And no one's paying attention to what's above them. And as these people are looking on their cell phones, above them are mile-wide craft zipping around trying to get their attention. So I believe that that's predictive programming. I do. I think we're on the cusp of something. I think a nuclear event somewhere triggers it. And I wrote about that in Rungs of Disclosure. That's the end game. A nuclear event triggers it.
Well, you can get a copy of Rungs of Disclosure just by clicking the link that's down in the description. Easy. You ain't got to search for it to take you right there where you can get it. But now there's a dynamic that's changed. And I wonder if a lot of this activity is somehow tied to this, and that is with the victory of Donald Trump, who has said on Joe Rogan, multiple other programs, whether he does it or not, he has openly said that he will release 2 major documents that has been held back from the United States citizens from the beginning. And he says he will reveal the JFK files, and he will reveal what Roswell, the UFO files, and everything that we know. This is bold predictions. Remember, the topic of the show is bold predictions for 2025. In your opinion, do you think Donald Trump will be able to actually do that and release what we know about UFOs in 2025 and beyond?
We have 2 films on Roswell right here, Exoneration and in the debris field. We did a deep dive. We've got eyewitnesses. We've got deathbed confessions. We've got, handwritten letters from Representative D'Amato to Jesse Marcel Sr. We got all sorts of stuff on those 2 films. I believe Roswell was possibly a deliberate crash. Why? In 1945, you had the atomic bomb being dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In 47, you have the Roswell event. Where did the Roswell event take place? Right by the 509th Bombing Group. So what's about the 509th Bombing Group? The 509th Bombing Group is the bombing group that dropped those 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, respectively. So the bottom line is 48, you've got Israel becoming a nation. That kicks off the modern day UFO phenomenon as we know it. The whole thing, the crop circles, cattle mutilations, the abduction phenomena, the hybrids that we're seeing, everything starts from 48 and moves to the present day. I think we're looking at some kind of disclosure. I think it's happening. I think the orbs that are being seen along with these drones, and some of these drones are going into the water and coming out of the water. Normal drones don't do that. Right. So it's a mixed bag. And as of, December 19th, I'm just Joe Citizen, just like all you guys are out there. Granted, I've got some people who feed me information, and I've got third-hand information that some of these drones are from Area 51. They were back engineered. Can I prove that? No, I can't. That's third-hand information. I'm just telling you what I know, but I don't know the source, and I can't vet the source. So it's a long shot.
Okay.
I mentioned it only because we are seeing what I would call a mixed bag. We're seeing drones, but we're also seeing orbs. We're seeing drones, what we think are drones, but these drones go into the ocean. They outpace Coast Guard ships. They hover in the air and give off light for hours. How is this working? And I don't have all the answers, but I'll tell you this: our government knows what's going on, and they're holding it very, very close to the vest. Will Trump, if Trump actually gets to January 20th?
Oh, that's a big one.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. The powers that be do not want him there, guaranteed. The American people love him. Granted, the liberals don't, but just look at the red map. The guy won by a landslide, a landslide. And I would say this to Mr. Trump, not that you're listening, but if you are, sir, or if someone else is watching this, the Trump administration needs to investigate the 5 seats that went to the Democrats from Orange County. If that's not, and again, I'm not trying to, disparage anyone here, but that should be investigated, because 3 weeks after the election, we just kept counting these ballots, and we harvested these ballots, and these ballots came in, and by the way, now the Democrats just picked up 5 seats. I'm not buying that.
No, me neither.
I'm not buying that. That needs
Yeah.
to be investigated.
Yeah, and of course this is a different topic here, but same quick question, quick answer. Do you think that that he will try to release even the JFK files? I mean, do you think he's going to try? If like the question is, if he makes it there, do you think from what you've heard and seen that he'll actually go through with it? If he can survive to get there, will he release the top secret documents?
If the American people knew that there were bad actors in our government who killed JFK,
Wow.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, all those bad actors are dead. They're all dead. Everybody's dead for the most part. Everybody's dead. And so could he release them? Yeah. And the thing is, it's a twofer. As he's releasing these, he's cleaning up these agencies.
Wow.
If in fact, look, the headshot comes from the grassy knoll. The whole thing is covered up. It's Oswald, what's his face, Dan Rather. And I saw the film, and his head goes forward. Liar. His head doesn't go forward. His head goes back and to the left. Back and to the left. I mean, how many times do we have to see it? I've been to the grassy knoll. I've stood behind the picket fence. You're less than 60 feet away from the kill shot. It is a turkey shoot. And the limousine is not doing 40 miles an hour. The limousine basically comes to a stop right there. Boom! He's blown out. And the back part of his head splatters and covers the police on the motorcycle to the left of the motorcade. And then you see, and I've shown this on film, right before the kill shot, you've got a Secret Service agent who is trying to get on the back of the limousine to shield the president. And he's told to stand down once again.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
What you just said is so profound. When the American people, they've heard this conspiracies, they've been told that it's just conspiracy. In fact, the whole term conspiracy theory was birthed through that, JFK. And so that we've been told that and programmed that. But if the truth comes out, first of all, I don't know if he'll be able to make it there. Second of all, if he does, then of course the powers that be, even though most of those bad actors are dead, like you said, they're going to have an even bigger target on him because they do not want him exposing the long-term generational corruption that has been in that deep state. So let's shift gears here because we got quite a few things to ask you on this major show here called Bold Predictions for 2025 with L.A. Marzulli. L.A., we were talking about portals. We were talking about many different things here. Now, I've covered it. You've covered it. At the time, tonight, we are at the time of this live, we are less than a week away from Christmas, just a few days from Christmas Eve. And the Pope is supposed to be opening 5 doors, an unprecedented thing, what he calls holy doors. But then when you delve into it, they actually even use the word portals, that they're portals. And one of them, unprecedented, is the door to a prison, which has never been done before. And we're talking about symbology, LA. I was thinking about the Mount Hermon, and I was thinking about the timing of Mount Hermon and this as well, where many of those fallen angels that did the things that they did, many of them are in prison and locked in chains that will be released in a future date in the tribulation period. Could this be a natural symbolic thing that he chose for the first time ever, now that we got Mount Hermon back, to open up a door to a prison as well? So what, are we just blowing something out of proportion, or do you think there's something really significant about what the Pope is going to do on Christmas Eve?
I don't, I've been following this just like everyone. And, let me just say this with all due respect to Catholics everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't trust this Pope at all. I really don't. I don't think, and I just don't like what he says. I don't like what he stands for. He certainly is a woke Pope. He talks about immigration. I've been to the Vatican. It's got 40-foot walls all the way around it. So the first thing is let all these homeless people come in and share the wealth. He's doing something that's symbolic, but why now?
Yeah.
Why now? And that's why we need to watch this like a hawk. We need to see what he says, pay very careful attention to what the Pope actually says as he's opening up the doors. Problem with that is most likely it will be in Latin. So now we have to wait for a translator and make sure that the translator is translating it correctly. If it is in Latin, now we're looking at some sort of a Catholic rite being done, and we need to investigate this. And I don't trust it as far as I could throw it. I mean, I just don't. I'm very suspect at what he's doing and what he's talking about with this. But you got to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I firmly agree with everything that you're saying. And I know it's symbolic, but, the Bible says first the natural, then the spiritual. So, he takes natural things and reveals them in the natural realm to reveal many times coming spiritual things. So when I look at like you said, why now? The doors and the unprecedented, never done before opening by the Pope of a door to a prison. And when you start going down that rabbit hole with Mount Hermon and the bound demons and so forth, fallen angels, it's just craziness. It's just craziness of what I think we're at. I think it just feels like in the spirit realm. I know you feel it too. It just feels like things are ramping up, like things are speeding up.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, look, I look at what's going on. And right now, things in the Middle East, especially with Syria and everything there, this was an overthrow by the Turkish government. That's in my opinion, that's who's really behind this whole deal. The fact that Israel gets Mount Hermon and 14 or 15 miles as a buffer into Syria, that's huge.
Yes.
But and it looks like the Sunnis are taking over the branch of the Shia Muslims. The whole Shia crescent seems to have been not defeated, but certainly knocked down several notches. Hezbollah's on the run, the Houthis are on the run, Hamas is and yet Hamas won't give up, will they? They're still launching rockets. They think that somehow things are going to turn around. Ain't going to turn around. Release the hostages. But are we looking at Isaiah 17, the destruction of Damascus? Are we looking at the Ezekiel 38 war? All I can say to the naysayers are going, see, everything's calming down. Right now it's calming down. But that doesn't mean 6 months from now the whole thing will explode. No one saw the attack on Israel, did they? No one saw in 1948 Israel being regathered from the four corners of the earth and reestablished in its ancient homeland. Amos 9:14 and 15 tells us this, and this never happened until 1948. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. Check. They will build the waste cities and inhabit them. Check. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. Check. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. Check. And here's the kicker. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of the land I have given them, says the Lord your God. That's prophecy, baby. Yeah. And it happened in 1948. That means Israel will never be pushed to the sea. Ever, 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 ever. That's it. And we're looking at a coalition of countries, the Ezekiel 38, 39 countries, which are already there. Granted, Turkey's the wild card, but the Russians are already in bed with Iran. The Houthis in Yemen, everybody's there. All the players are gathered on the field. The wild card is Turkey. What will Turkey do? They all hate Israel. Turkey, Erdogan has been talking about the genocide and, Israel needs to do this, Israel, blah, 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 blah. I mean, every day they talk about the genocide that's happening in Gaza. Excuse me, the IDF doesn't play that way. That's not what's really going on. And who attacked whom? What happened on October 7th were 1,200 people were massacred in the most heinous of ways? Seriously? And the Israelis are just supposed to go, we're going to stop now. The hostages still have not been released, and Hamas has still not laid down their weapons. So this is just a lull right now. It's a false peace, literally. I think in the spring, and again, I'm not a prognosticator here, but from my perch, from what I can see, I think all hell's going to break loose sometime in 2025.
Yeah, and I wonder what's really going to happen with going back to the Trump card again. Donald Trump has told them, listen, those hostages better be out in the hands of the Israelis and the Americans and the citizens of the world by January 20th, or all blank is going to be paid on top of your head. And I'm almost sort of thinking of a Reagan situation, when the hostages were being held by Iran, and on the inauguration they were released. I'm almost expecting on the 20th or the 21st, maybe even on the 20th itself, for them to be released, because I don't know. I just got this feeling that he says what he means and he means what he says. And I think he's going to go in and even if he doesn't do anything, he may look at Netanyahu and say, every restraint, every tie that was on you, they're released. Do what you want to do. We got your back. What do you think about that?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Trump means what he says and says what he means. There's just no doubt about it. He's not pussyfooting around with these guys. And what they did is it's just so nefarious, so below the belt. Take innocent men, women, and some children and hold them hostage. I mean, how do you recover from that? You don't. You never recover from that. And who knows about the rape and the torture and everything else that goes along with it. I mean, these guys, but this is what they've done in the Middle East for centuries. This is their ballpark. So one thing I ran up the flagpole, and the Israelis should really learn from this. Every Israeli should be required to carry a handgun. End of story. You're trained. When you're 10 years old or 12 years old, right before bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, one of the things that happens to you, you go into 2 weeks training small firearm, and you are issued by the Israeli government a handgun. So this will never happen again, because you're going to come after me, I'm going to pull up my handgun, I'm going to shoot you. That's how that works. But that's what didn't happen. 1,200 people that weren't armed were taken, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's move to the war in Ukraine. I don't know how far you've studied that and you've looked into that. We've talked about the Trump effect. Here we are going again. The Trump effect. He said he's going to get it done in a day. I don't know if he'll do that, but there's no doubt movement has happened. He has talked to Zelensky. Zelensky never talked about a potential agreement with Russia until Trump won. And now the agreement that he is supposedly saying that he might agree to is let the land stand as is. And, we'll give up the land right now that they've taken, with the promise that we'll try to get it back, but with a promise that you'll put us in NATO. And Putin has said that's a no-go. You put them in NATO, NATO's not going to border us. And then this week they assassinated and killed one of the top Russian generals. So do you think Trump's going to be able to wind that down? And what is your prediction for 25 is going to happen with the war of Ukraine and Russia?
It's amazing that the left was yelling and screaming when Trump got elected in 2016. He's going to get us into World War III. It's the end of the world. Well, that's not what happened, did it? There were no new wars. Everybody stood down. Rocket Man stopped firing rockets. The Middle East, everybody calmed down. Everyone took a chill pill. The moment the Democrats get in, all hell breaks loose, right? All hell breaks loose. We're at the verge of World War III. People are saber-rattling with nukes. It's just unbelievable. The deep state runs on war. Make no mistake about it. Our country and the deep state runs on the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex. That's where the budget and the black ops and everything else goes. So who's profiting from the war in Ukraine? Well, how many billions of dollars have we sent there? There's absolutely no accountability. American people have no vote on this at all, no say in this at all. Billions with a B, have gone over to the Ukraine. I mean, they've already spent more on that than I think that they did. I could be wrong on this, but there's a chart. I think they've already spent more on Ukraine than they have at Afghanistan.
Wow.
I think. Don't quote me on that. But if I remember correctly, I'd have to pull up one of my presentations because it's there. But it's really close.
I don't doubt it. I mean, Sandy and I on our Monday night show, we covered early on in this war that one of the supplemental bills that they sent over there in the billions, it was proven and they didn't even apologize for it. They were paying people's retirement. They were paying for the garbage pickup. They even we've showed a video clip of a lady that ran a retail store in downtown Kiev that was selling clothing, was saying thank you to the Americans because you've helped us keep our doors open and keep our business open. And I was just like, wait a minute, what in the world is going on here? We're supposed to be funding a war while our people, our soldiers, our army personnel are living on the streets homeless, and we're paying for garbage pickup in Ukraine. This is a money laundering thing. I know it's a war, but there's so much more to this. LA, I know you believe that there is just a hotbed of something. It's like there's, they talk about the minerals that are under the ground. They talk about it being the breadbasket of that entire region of the world. There's just seems like there's something else going on in this Ukraine war that's more than Ukraine and Russia. And do you get that feeling?
Well, we know that there's a lot of the biolabs that are in Ukraine. I mean, that's a matter of it's been documented. It may be one of the most corrupt nations on the earth, and that's not me. That's just from articles that you read. The corruption is rife. So you've got biolabs, you've got all this crazy stuff going on, all the corruption. I mean, who knows how far this thing goes?
Yeah, well, have you ever been? Burisma, my goodness, and all of a sudden, how convenient his son is pardoned all the way back.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Holocaust Museum?
Where
in Israel? In Israel?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I'm a student of the Holocaust.
Okay. Sandy and I have only been to Israel one time, and we went with a mutual friend of ours, Paul Begley, and we went to the Holocaust Museum. And I mean, I've known a little bit, but I'm not a student. I haven't studied like you. I was surprised, and I don't know if you know this, but there is a whole section of that museum dedicated to the Nazis of Ukraine and what happened in Ukraine. So when I started hearing Putin talk about the Nazis in Ukraine, I thought he's lost his mind. What's he talking about? That's Germany. But it was unbelievable. And it's like there's a demonic history of that country. When I walked in that room, I felt something dark.
Yeah, the Ukrainian Nazis, I forget what they're called, but they were absolutely the most barbaric out of all of them. I mean, these guys, they were butchers that just beyond the pale. And this is why, see, all this is kept from the American people. Yeah. All of it's kept from the American people. No, we don't talk about that. It's all under the bridge. Nothing to see here. Just shut up, pay your taxes, and meanwhile, billions of dollars. Are there neo-Nazis in Ukraine? More than likely, I would say absolutely yes, without a shadow of a doubt. Nazi ideology is alive and well there, as well as all the corruption. So, you start putting the pieces together. It's, it's a real quagmire, And the fact that it's amazing. The people in the Carolinas aren't getting any help. Yeah. A friend of ours went over there. He took his own truck, his own, loader, and we helped him with some donations, and he went over and helped the people of Ashland. I mean, just erecting temporary houses, and we're going to give these guys $700 a piece. This is a travesty. Unbelievable. Why billions of dollars go to Ukraine? It's upside down, folks. It's upside down.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that was on my list that I wanted to ask you. And a lot of people believe that what happened in North Carolina, what happened in that hurricane, was weather manipulation. Do you believe in 2025 and beyond, we're going to see more weather manipulation, military using the weather? What is your opinion on weather manipulation, and do you think that we're going to see some more things, unfortunately, like we witnessed in 24?
Yeah, the bottom line is I live in Southern California, and today we counted 15 chemtrails over our house that we could see, 15 different chemtrails. And I haven't seen that since 2018, where the fire, right? Where the fire just exploded. They are spraying like crazy. And I forget which state it is. I don't think it's Kentucky, but it's one of them on the East Coast that is forbidden. No more chemtrails here. And they need to do that because they're spraying something, and it's not contrails. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It ain't contrails. They're spraying, and it's crisscross pattern, the whole deal. And this stuff, it goes out here, it's a stream like this, and then that stream expands and it completely pollutes the entire area. What are these people spraying? My gosh.
Yeah.
Part of me makes me want to get out of here again. Nothing's changed. And along with the governor that we have, nothing is ever going to change until the American people wake up. This is why the central part of California wants to create its own state, because they don't believe what's going on. And you know what? I love where I live, but I hate the politics. I hate it.
Well, I got news for you. I don't know if you've ever been to Alabama. Alabama is the buckle of the Bible Belt. We love Jesus down here with all our heart, but our skies are full of chemtrails. I'm talking about that. When I go outside sometimes, I've done videos where I'm just walking around in my neighborhood on my phone, and behind me, I can't even talk because in the camera, I'm so distracted because there's just X's all over behind me. And all the comments are going, man, where are you at? They're blowing your skies up. So, and then we've got some people down here, some local weather guys. It's always, you conspiracy theorists, that's just contrails.
How much are they paying you? It's not contrails, pal. We're not stupid. This is why people don't tune into the mainstream media anymore. This is why your show, Larry, is so important, because people have had it. With the mainstream media, with these talking heads that get up, that are paid millions of dollars for reading a teleprompter. I'm not buying it anymore. People get their news. I get my news from all these alternative news sites.
Yes. All right, a couple more things, and we'll come down off this mountain here. Okay, so here's the big one. You can't have L.A. Marzulli on here without talking about Nephilim. So I want to ask you, for so long, it was this taboo word. Nobody talked about it except people like you and a few others out there that was sort of leading the way. But now, man, my timeline and my YouTube algorithm is just filled with all these people talking about Nephilim. And of course, I know a lot of just jumping on there to try to get views. But I had some people ask me this, and they wanted me to ask you this question. Where do you stand? Remember, this is a prediction for 25 and beyond, but also I want to get your opinion and if you think we're going to see this again in 25 and beyond. There are people that believe in Nephilim, believe that they existed, believe that the demons may be disembodied spirits of the Nephilim and go down that road. But they wanted me to ask you, are the giants, the Nephilim, are they still alive anywhere on this planet? And when you hear these stories about these red-haired Nephilim in the mountains, the military has killed them in modern times, where do you stand on that? Are the Nephilim a thing of the past tied to the spirit realm? Or are the Nephilim still alive? And if they are we about to actually start seeing some videos that people catch of Nephilim?
Well, they're definitely alive. We broke the Candleheart story, the Candleheart Giant story. My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I broke that story. Now, Steve Quayle, a couple of years earlier, broke a story of a giant being picked up. He talked to the helicopter pilot. But we got our guy and his guy together. We realized that there were two locations, complete like a year apart, a year or two apart, different giant, different location. They're here. I also have another witness that went into that area of Kandahar and was engaged in a firefight with these guys. They went into the cave. That's information that I got. Can't tell you what my source is. But they're there. We don't know how old these guys are. They could be thousands of years old, literally, because they're remember, they're fallen angel DNA and human DNA. Yeah. So they're like a god in a sense. They're in a fixed state. They have no soul. So they were there in the Kandahar province. We broke that story. It's in our Watchers film. I think it's Watchers 10 that we talk about Kandahar. I was threatened by a guy from a deep state for reporting on the giant of Kandahar. I was threatened. My family was threatened. I was threatened. So that's how the game is played. It's real. Are they here? Yes. They're walking the earth. Are they being waiting? Are they waiting for a specific time before they reappear? More than likely, yes. I also interviewed a gentleman who came on my show whose father was born in Kandahar. His grandmother, his mother, okay, was a witch, and she would go to the cave at where the Candleheart Giant was and leave offerings there for the giant.
Wow.
Not making this up.
Wow. Wow. Well, where do you stand in Nephilim and the whole Bigfoot thing? I mean, are they one and the same?
Yeah, I think Bigfoot are modern day Nephilim. Late Scott, what's his last name? Carpenter? No. Yeah, it's Carpenter. Yeah, it's Carpenter. Scott Carpenter, who was a friend and Bigfoot researcher. We've had him on my show when he was alive. I believe that they took him out. He believed.
I know you're talking about. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, he believed, like I do, that these were modern day Nephilim. And you got to remember, from 1948 to the present day, the numbers of sightings have gone up like this exponentially. So they're breeding. Who are the beasts of the earth that we read about in the book of Revelation? As my friend and battle buddy, the late Russ Dizdar, used to say, these are not hamsters and giraffes. So what are they? And what I see, they're in a fixed state. I believe there's a very nefarious agenda with them. They're part of the end times mix.
Yeah, and I want to see what you think about this. My theory here. I was talking to another guy the other day about this, and I was talking about how the Word of God says there will be signs in the heavens and in the earth beneath. Signs in the heavens and the earth beneath. So all my life, I'm about to be 57 years old, raised in church, heard prophecy all my life. You know, all we had to go on was what we knew. We didn't know what we didn't know. So when you think of signs in the heavens and the earth beneath, I would think about the sun, the moon, the stars, asteroids. I would think about earthquakes in diverse places, which is the case. But now, LA, I'm thinking that God knew the final generation would understand something that no other generation understood, that in addition to meteors and asteroids and the sun doing things and earthquakes and all this and storms, that maybe the signs in the heavens is what we're talking about on this program here today, the drones, UFOs, and on the earth beneath is the Bigfoots, the Nephilims, the things that will be manifested. So because something's got to happen more than cosmos things that would almost deceive the very elect if it was possible. So It's like there's got to be some kind of convergence of paranormal things because people are so hungry for the paranormal. It's like that. I love what you said, that are these Nephilim waiting on a certain time? That makes so much sense, that it's just like it's just going to hit us. UFOs above us, Nephilim down here, and people are going to be, what in the world is going on? Somebody save us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think we're looking at. Look, you got to admit that things are ramping up towards something. There's absolutely no doubt about it that we are ramping up towards something. And whatever that something is, I don't have a good feeling about it. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff in 2025. I've got to go. I've got to take about a 2 or 3 minute break before my next interview.
Yes, sir.
Larry, thanks for having me on. Would love to come back. Folks, if you want to do a deep dive, lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.com. Don't forget the new book right here, Rungs of Disclosure. It's got thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's got the info, got the information you're looking for. But thanks for having me on, Larry. Really appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, LA. We'll have you back again. Appreciate you kicking off our series, and Merry Christmas. And we love you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Love you guys too. God bless you. Take care.
God bless. So to the Big Picture family, I want to go ahead and take you there right now, and I want to remind you that the Rungs of Disclosure is LA's latest book. It is linked down below. His website is linked down below, and the Amazon direct link is linked down below as well, where you can go there, watch all his videos. In fact, let me illustrate to you what you can do and why it is important for you to go there. Because when you scroll up, let's see here. Let me zoom out a little bit more so you can see. There it is, where you can watch. And when you click on watch, look at all these videos that are there. I mean, you're talking about the subjects that we covered tonight, There is a deep, deep dive. All of these are there. In fact, when you scroll up to the top here, you'll notice, let me see if I can see where it is. Well, I don't see it here, but there's a section there where he shows where he's a guest, and I can't find it now, but our program that we had before with him is on there, and this will be on there as well because all of his interviews he puts there. But yeah, it's what an amazing program. And of course, the topic tonight was bold predictions for 2025. And I tell you what, I think that was one for the books. One for the books there with L.A. Marzulli, and he don't pull no punches. And in fact, I need to go back and watch this myself because there is so much information in this program. When you start talking about Nephilim and you're talking about the signs in the heavens and the earth beneath, you're talking about, we covered drones, we covered UFOs, we covered aliens, we covered Donald Trump, we covered the war in Ukraine, we covered the wars in Israel, we covered the deep state, we covered, my goodness, I don't even know what all we covered. That's why we call it the big picture. So thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you to all of our partners that have chosen to click that join button that's down below. If you're watching on YouTube, you can just click the join button. But if you'd like to be a partner with us to help us do what we're doing, continue. We're in our new studio because of our partners, and the best way to do that is just go to LarryRagland.com. And when you go to LarryRagland.com, look at all the things that you get when you're there. You can watch all of our former videos. You can get a copy of our book. Now, I've got something really interesting to show you that you are the first one to see this. This is very exciting for me to tell you this on this show, and I'm going to show you this is powerful. Now, this is not on my website yet. It's so new that this is going to go up. I'm going to have to put it on the website tonight, but maybe it will be there by the time you see this. But when you go to our website, you're going to be able to click on this. But you know about my book, I See Greatness in You. I've been waiting for this moment to happen. And the pre-sale of my new leadership course, actually this new online course called The DNA of Greatness, is now ready for, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here, is now ready for pre-sale. And it is 50% off right now. This is a video course that I did with my publisher, Leadership Books. I can't remember exactly. I think it's like 18 video parts. It comes with a study guide as well to go along, and it is a sort of a pairing with the book, but it is not the book. It is a totally separate teaching, totally separate. I tell stories that I've not told anywhere else, and I would love for you to get that. Now, it is not available to watch yet, but you can pre-buy it now. As you can see, it's normally $97. It's a professionally produced video course, and it's a step-by-step process. There's QR codes there. There's the study guide that comes with it, and it's called the DNA of Greatness online course. It will normally be $97. It's $48.50 now, 50% off. And I will link that down below in the description, as well as it will be on my website for you to direct link to it. I don't know exactly the day that it will go live, hopefully sometime right after the first year in January, but get there and go ahead and get it 50% off. You'll get a receipt in your email, and then when it goes live, you'll be one of the first ones to go, and you can go through the course. Very excited about this. This is a huge opportunity for us to teach principles that we have learned over the years, and we get into some very deep things, and it's very well done as well, and it's video produced, and it's all a video course, The DNA of Greatness. And you can get that by going to our website or link down below in the description and go there and pre-order that. So I appreciate you being with us tonight. Thank you so much. If you have not smashed that like button, smash it now. Share our program and help us build this. This is the first of many that we got coming called Bold Predictions for 2025. And of course, our first one that we had tonight was L.A. Marzulli. And we've got Ricky Scapero coming, Mike Signorelli, just a handful, Joseph Z. Alan DiDio, Todd Coconato, Tony Merkel, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but these are just the ones right now that we've got lined up. Paul Begley. All of these are going to do prediction shows between now and the end of January. So it's just going to be a phenomenal series. So thank you for joining us, and always know that we love you and we hope that you have the most amazing Christmas. But don't forget, on Christmas night, Sandy and I will be here with you on Christmas night at a regular time, 7 o'clock. Instead of our Bible study, we'll be talking about the Lord and we'll be talking about Christmas, and we'll see you on Christmas night. But don't forget, before Christmas, we still got our other shows. And God bless you. Remember, we ain't woke, but we certainly are awake. Here's how you can partner with us if you believe in what we're doing, and we'll see you next time. We love you. God bless.
Would you like to help us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at LarryRagland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.